I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Bearer-Matriarch.
Okay, guys, the next song is Matriarch. I'm going to do my best to try to get you guys the lyrics. We're going right back into it, guys. The next song is Matriarch. The band is
Light Bearer.
Light Bearer. Let's go. Shout out to
DJ Mark.
Where's the big homie DJ Mark? Where'd you go, DJ Mark? Where'd you go, DJ Mark? Anyway. All right, guys. Here it is. Matriarch is song number 3. Let's go.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Stopped it right at the point.
Good job.
So there was a little mini debate about who the girl is. So it's a matriarch, it's a woman. Some people think it's Eve. I don't think it's Eve. I think they're talking about Lilith.
Oh, really?
They're talking about Eve. Yeah.
Why? What makes you think
because,
that?
First of all, Lilith preceded Eve. Mm-hmm. And second of all, Lilith is a demon. Mm-hmm. So she's on the bad team.
Right.
So
Right.
they're setting this woman up as the matriarch.
Yeah, well, okay, that kind of makes sense. When I saw this album cover, I wasn't sure where it was Eve. I'm like, I don't see. Oh, well, no, look, he's got an apple. He's holding an apple here.
So?
Well, I mean, apple. People tend to think that's Eve.
Yeah, but this girl, whoever she is look at the lyrics. Like,
Yeah.
it could be that Eve, he thinks Eve is a mark, and he thinks Eve is going to join his side, which will then explain the whole tempting her with the apple thing. Mm-hmm. But as far as a woman who is going to take the devil's side, I mean, that would be Lilith, right?
Can you tell me more about this Lilith character?
Well, she was the first woman that was created. She wouldn't submit to Adam, blah blah blah. So she went off and
then Eve came along.
She steals people's kids and kills them and all types of crazy.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, it's just a story about making sure that, in my mind, it was a story that was just invented to keep women in check.
There's a lot of those, I guess.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So what I'm saying is the concept of a created woman that betrays God and joins lean with the devil is Lilith. I mean, I think you could make the argument that Eve kind of did that, right? Mm-hmm. Like when she went with the apple thing. So I guess, I mean, either way, it could be Eve, it could be Lilith, who knows? It seems more appropriate with Lilith for me, although maybe I'm just being too theological about this. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, let's read the lyrics.
Parched throats retort. So these are the people that go back and goes, yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sand parts to mark their passing. They lift their hands from the earth. The defining osteo impasse to ascend from quadruped. So right there, this is really interesting. So they take like a theistic evolutionary perspective on it, right? Because you just ascended from being a quadruped, which means you're on all fours, and now you're standing upright like a human being. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
like
okay.
The progress. So theistic evolution is that, yeah, of course we believe in macroevolution.
Yes,
God
Mark, it does.
Right? Like God did it. You know what I'm saying? So they're taking a sort of a theistic evolution way of looking at it. And that is really, really fascinating stuff because, I mean, that works. And my point is, he didn't necessarily have to go there. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like he didn't have to include that. So I just thought that was cool that he did that, man, because it's like, hey, that's pretty cool. Okay, so what are you thinking? Go ahead.
Well, Mark wanted to know if it lists on here it says Lucifer.
The only characters that are listed is Lucifer
and authority.
And the authority. These whims carry, these whims notice. This mind, it threatens purpose. Time gathers impetus. This mind must obey. So the authority, I'm assuming, is God, right? Ernie Eastman, do me a favor. The next time you say something like that, we're gonna have to go ban you, right? Because that doesn't work. So moderators, put Ernie on a quick timeout, and then if he says something like that again, ban him for the rest of his life.
For the rest of his life. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we've talked to you before too. So. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So it only mentions the authority. It doesn't mention God. It just talks about Lucifer, and then it talks about the authority. So triumphant, the weight of all, consequential, the penny drops, branches partition, lineage ingrained, womb significant. So he's looking at her and saying, holy shit, she can reproduce. This is significant.
Right.
And this is another one of those things I was listening to. This guy is a real like marginal Catholic. He's almost this guy's almost a cit of a contest, for goodness sakes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I talked to him. It wasn't Patrick Robinson Jenis. So Jenis was on this show with this other guy named it's called Tradcat Radio. It's unbelievable stuff. One of my favorite things to listen to, like when I want to get spooked, because I'll tell you what, there's nothing more spooky than a Catholic when they're talking about these prophecies that happened in Fatima.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's talking about the days of darkness and shit. Like the shit is like, it's
Oh,
scary.
yeah. I always thought that was really scary when I was a kid, too.
Yeah.
The whole candle thing and all that.
Yeah, but the way no, Lilith is not in the Bible. But the way that the big homie did it, like, it's terrifying. Terrifying stuff. I always found, like, the Catholic stuff to be the most terrifying. Like, not even close. Not even a close second. And I'm not dissing the Catholic Church. Shout out to the Catholic Church. I'm just saying, like, when they do horror, man, this shit is horrifying, bro.
Yep. Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts. See, okay, you know how my parents were super strict growing up, blah, blah, blah. We couldn't watch a lot of stuff, but we could discuss stories of demons.
What do you mean? Like, you can, like,
Well, if
demons?
somebody
Like
said, "Oh, I had this demon in my house. This is what happened," we were allowed to have those discussions. So we used to. I mean, that was our entertainment. You know what I mean? Like it was. So anyway, we would hear those
Entertainment, that shit is
stories.
scary as hell.
I know,
What are you talking
but
about?
I know, but you know how like kids want to watch a thriller, they want to watch a horror movie, they want to watch something a
I
little on
guess.
the edge.
I
we
guess.
couldn't watch any of that. It was The Fox and the Hound. That's it. So when people started coming with these stories, mostly my mom coming with her different stories, it was very interesting. Then other people would, but you always had like this bad feeling after. Like maybe we shouldn't have talked about that.
You're talking about demons, bro.
I know.
But I really like this because I don't like the concept of demons doing bad shit working for the devil, but I do like the fact that finally the girls get some love. You know what I'm saying? Like every time, because I've started to see that there's some really satanic females out there, bro.
Well,
There's some real like satanic devilish women out there. It took me a while to figure it out, but there's some real.
Yeah.
So shout out to the girls. Shout out to the girls, man. Y'all out there wrecking shop. Y'all some gangsters. People keep sleeping on. Don't sleep on females, bro. Do you guys believe in actual demons and saints? Absolutely. I absolutely believe in demons. I believe in saints. I'm sitting next to one.
I was going to say, here we are.
Danny, you believe in things you can't see, right? Like you believe that there's a whole world at the microscopic level that you can't see. You probably believe, if you've read any string theory, that there are other dimensions. Some people say 26, some people say 12, 10, 8. So if we have multiple dimensions, how do you know what kind of beings inhabit those dimensions? So that's what I'd say. I'd say be careful.
Yep.
See, be careful, because there's a lot we don't know. Yeah, so I like the fact that he made the woman like the sort of second in command of the devil, which I think is pretty cool, because you never really in the New Testament you never really see the devil having a girlfriend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
You know, like he's
true.
kind of focused.
Here we go.
He's kind of focused on a singular goal.
I was trying to post that comment of Amy Lee. She said she's all angel. And then if Ben is old demon, maybe it would work.
Yeah. Yeah. So the whims carry the... Okay, so her ability to reproduce... This is really interesting to me, because he specifically talks about her ability to reproduce.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very fascinating concept. Because I do believe that a woman's ability to reproduce is massively fascinating to the devil and to demons. Because one of the... Okay, so Michael means who is like God.
Yeah.
So going back to my Robertson Jenis story, it was him, the trad cat, and then there was this other like old school Catholic priest, and they were talking about the story of Michael and how Michael got his name. So you line up all the angels. There's the devil wants to take over, and then one of the angels, he can't take it anymore, so he says, who is like God? Which is what Michael means, who is like God. So he goes, who is like God? He goes, fuck you, devil, and he knocks him out of heaven, right? So that's one story to explain how Michael got his name. There's another story, though, that is not as popular, and probably only Perk will know this story. The other explanation the guy gave was, so everybody's getting lined up, right? And God says, bow to Adam and Eve. And the devil says, who's like God? Why should I bow to them? I'm only supposed to bow to you. And the Catholic guy says, Michael said they are like God. And of course we were all like, what are you talking about? You remember this one now?
No.
And he said, because the angels do not have the ability to replicate themselves.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But humans have the ability to replicate themselves. And it actually says in Genesis 5, I think, that, what's his name? Seth was in the image of Adam. Kind of using language.
Image and likeness, yeah.
Adam was creating the image of God, and Seth, who's Adam's son, is in the image of Adam. And so there's a sense in which human beings actually are able to do something divine that angels cannot do, even in our weakened state. Because right now, biblically speaking, we're lower than the angels. So the ability for the woman to procreate actually makes her like God.
Wow.
It makes her the closest thing to God on the earth, because God can replicate himself or replicate his images. But angels, for all their power, cannot. And so then that also explains the propensity for them to come down here and cohabit with women, that type of thing, because they want to procreate. They wanted to find a way of replicating themselves, because they're not able to do that in their power. And so it's not one of those situations where, they were lusting after these. Look how beautiful these women are, lusting after them. More so,
lusting after their womb.
More so, it was, hey, look at that womb. And that
oh my God, babe, that's so creepy.
That womb was going to create some good-looking people, and of course they're arrogant, so they would want, they're not going to copulate with a, with a me. They're going to copulate with a you, because. So from that perspective, they want a womb because that's the only way that they can replicate themselves. So they would have to basically be lowering themselves to have to copulate with women in order to do something that women do naturally on an everyday basis. Right, so that explains why Shemyaza and those boys would want to come down here and talk and deal with them in the first place when they're so superior to them.
Oh my gosh!
Right, and of course
so
there's no like a mention of the women themselves in the scripture or much in the intertestamental literature as far as their feelings for the women.
Right.
There is no emotion that I've seen that's recorded for the women, but there is for their children.
That's so
so they ask Enoch, like, hey, don't let him kill our kids, give us mercy, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, nah, you ain't getting no mercy, bro. See you later. So,
wow.
So that's why I'm saying, like, the focus on the womb is really, 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 really
when you take that thought process and you juxtapose it to, okay, so Molech, and they had to sacrifice their babies to this this statue. It was a statue.
Yeah.
It had iron arms, I guess it was. They built a fire underneath and they put the baby on it, burn him to death. Horrible, horrible way to kill a child.
Yeah.
And they would beat their drums so they wouldn't hear the screaming of the babies. When you think about that, and then you think about, okay, so they sacrificed their children to this idol, and then you think about, a lot of times people want to say that abortion is just about, like the life of the mother or a rape case, which those are all just like very low percentages of actually what the abortion is. A lot of times it's abortion out of convenience, which is, you wanted to go to school, or you don't want to have to pay for a kid yet, or you don't want to have to make any sacrifices, getting your body to change because, you're pregnant or whatever. There's just lots of very, in my opinion, petty reasons to kill a child. Like I don't think there's a good reason to kill a child, and certainly not because you don't want stretch marks or because you wanted to go to college. I think that's just crazy.
Well, I
do know that there are a lot more complexities than that.
Well, what I do want to say is, because I want to, every time the abortion discussion comes up, men always get away with literal murder, in my opinion. I don't think these girls are saying, oh, this is inconvenient. Like, so back in the day, some of this is language, right? So like back in the day, they used to call them therapeutic abortions. That would be abortions that were not for the life of the mother. And so the pro-life groups are saying, man, we don't want to say therapeutic because that has a positive connotation. So it got switched from we started using the term convenience abortion because we wanted to paint the girl in a certain light. Now, have we seen people that just don't want stretch marks and things like that and kill it? Yep. But what I've seen more times than not is not a financial inconvenience, but a financial crisis. So, for example, A, who was looking down the barrel of sitting an entire winter in her car because her boyfriend broke up with her at the 4th month, and her dad, who was on state assistance, said, you already have 2 kids. So we can all pile in here, but I'm not taking another kid. So that's not an inconvenience. She's in a crisis. Because I've been with a single mother who had to raise 3 kids on her own, and my mother was a different kind of beast. What my mother did, I cannot hold other women to, because my mother had a registered nurse, in her resume. She's a registered nurse, so she literally, when she was on the good side of her bipolar, she could just walk into a hospital and get a $75,000 a year job in the late 90s. It's pretty decent money,
Right.
so I just like the convenience thing, like historically has been a thing, and I just wanted to clarify. There are we know that there are that do that for sure, 100%. And I also agree with you that if you look through the Bible, there have been this concerted effort specifically with the womb of women, and especially in Genesis, there's this sort of God has the same interest actually. It's this like,
Yeah, that's interesting.
I'm like editing myself because I don't want to do like a 9-hour review, right? But when you talk about the woman's role in history, it's really interesting from a biblical worldview, because you have a woman who hands the apple or whatever it was, or the DMT bush or the mushroom to Adam. But Adam is blamed for plunging the entire planet into sin. Eve is never blamed for so when the prophets and the apostles look back on the garden issue, Adam is always blamed. Romans 6, Adam. 1 Corinthians 15, Adam. It's all Adam's fault. What's fascinating though is that it is through the woman that God says he's going to redeem the world. When Satan and God and Adam and Eve are having the discussion, God says, what the hell? What did you do? What did you do, Adam? And Adam says, this woman that you gave me, because he's a real stand-up dude, so he blames his girlfriend. This woman that you gave me, so then God looks at Eve and says, what'd you do, sweetheart? And he goes, well, the serpent, he deceived me. So God looks at the serpent and says, okay, I'm going to put enmity between your seed and her seed. between your seed and the seed of the woman. And then it says, he will crush your head and you will strike his heel. But what's fascinating is it's almost like Adam is completely cut out of the discussion. This is an ancient Near Eastern document. And it's talking about the seed of the woman. It's usually the man that carries seed. But God is specifically singling out Eve and saying, no, sweetheart, you're going to be the vehicle by which I destroy the devil. Just like he used you as a vehicle to destroy Adam, thereby destroying the world. Don't worry, you're going to play a role, and it's going to be the seed of the woman. Adam's not going to have a fucking thing to do with it. It's just like Adam's completely cut out. He's like there. Like, I have no use for that guy. Like, in any way, shape, or form. Like, he never performs well in Scripture. Never. But Eve is my girl. I love Eve. But Adam, forget about it. So it's really interesting. Like, both groups are looking at the womb. So if it's Eve, that's interesting. Hey, what's up, Becky?
And I think that's what I'm saying. I love the idea that both parties are exalting the womb and the role of the woman in society. And I think that, unfortunately, feminism has given us some good things, and I think that it's given us some really horrible things too. And the idea that a woman should be looked down on if she's at home caring for her kids or birthing her children rather than out in the workforce is just absolutely daunting to me. That we would look at that like her greatest accomplishment, the greatest thing. Like, people always are trying to leave a legacy. There is no greater legacy than your own flesh and blood. Like, you birthed these children. They are comprised of you and the person that you love, and you get to pour into them throughout their life, and they get to be what goes on into the world to accomplish greater things, to change things for the good, or to be just an absolute wreck in the world, like whatever you do, But I just think that is like one of the highest positions would be birthing children and raising children and speaking into those children. And it's just thrown off to the side and it's looked down on. And I think that, I guess for me, it's more painful when I see women looking down on it, because it's like, yo, this is our thing. Like, what do you mean? Like I can see why a man might look down on it and be like, oh, that's a lot of responsibility, these different things that he doesn't want. But at the same time, like that, when we watch the Viking show and the way that he was about children, and certain societies are recognizing that this is their future, like they want as many kids as possible. We met that one guy when you went to the barber shop. He's like, yo, my dad, he's still having a bunch of kids. He said he wants an empire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, like this is what it should be. Like people should be wanting to raise their own little empire, their own little, a whole little crew of human beings that are going to, inherit this world and that are going to make either positive or negative changes. And a lot of times people are so afraid of, where's this world going to go? Am I being a horrible person by bringing more life into this world? No, because if only the bad people or people that are not going to train their kids for the greater good are reproducing, then yeah, you're right. Your prophecy is going to be fulfilled. The world's going to go to shit,
Right.
Of course, we don't believe that because we believe God has a plan. But, I mean, we are part of that plan, and his plan has always been be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. So, we're doing our part. Let's go, Vin.
Yeah, it's interesting. It says, she, the worth of the multitude. That means, it says, transitions of our assembly, visceral wires and sinew flare, delicately he thoughts ascent. She herself is worth more than all of his entire crew.
Well, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It's like, which is worth more, the bucket of water or the well? Right.
But it's let me see. Yeah, Mark talks about it. It also talks about the wisdom of women and things of that nature. Like I think what this is it's an ode to women, and I think it's because these guys interpret religious people, particularly Christianity, as degrading to women. So if you're going to be the inversion of all this stuff, God is an evil dictator. The devil's a guy who's just trying to bring democracy to heaven. Mm-hmm. The demons aren't demons. They're victimized angels who got cast out unfairly by a mean dictator. Mm-hmm. And now you've got this woman, whether she be Lilith or Eve, that he perceives, because this is his perception. I don't believe, look, we can look at the ancient world before and after Christianity, and you tell me which world you'd want to live in as a woman. It's not even close. The old concept of the autonomy of the body and the rights and things like that, go trace that back. Mm-hmm. It did not come from Greco-Roman paganism.
Right.
It just didn't.
Right.
So, but I understand why a person could think Christianity is degrading to women, so I'm going to set this woman up as the hero in the story and say that she's worth all the rest of it. What's fascinating is that if you actually read through the entirety of Scripture, the entirety of Scripture is really a story of a guy and his woman, or a guy and his girl, and even Bonnie and there's even a Bonnie and Clyde type sort of motif between God and his people. Mm-hmm. And so humanity in the Bible, humanity at its highest peak is always referred to in the feminine. Mm-hmm. So from Zion, the perfection of beauty, God shines forth, and Zion is called a young virgin girl. Eve, we already talked about that. She's going to be the actual instrument of the salvation of the world, to the exclusion of Adam, mm-hmm. which is fulfilled in the Blessed Mother, to the exclusion of Joseph. Mm-hmm. It is a woman and God working together to save the world, mm-hmm. to the exclusion of a man. Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, like, that is what the New Testament presents to us.
Wow. So, do you think
so much so that, in our opinion, the Catholics have gone overboard with it?
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, the Bible presents the man as the guy who plunged the world into sin, and the way that it got fixed was God himself had to team up with a woman, a teenage girl, to the exclusion of men.
Wow.
And Joseph's purpose in the New Testament was simply to make sure that Mary was safe. That's it. That's his
Wow.
entire function. And as soon as he accomplishes that function, he's out of the book. We never hear about him again.
You can barely find him in history.
You barely hear about the guy after that. You barely hear him in history. So I mean, I think that this song
So interesting because Jesus is called the last Adam.
correct
In that sense. I
Right.
mean, there's a lot of different ways to
Yeah.
look at the Adam thing.
Yeah.
But it's almost like, it's very interesting because it's like, so they both sinned, but it says that she was deceived, and I guess he did it with eyes wide open. I don't really know. And then it's just weird because it's basically like they both get cursed, but he gives a promise to her.
Yeah.
A very big one.
Yeah.
And it is kind of weird. It's basically like he's saying, okay, Adam, Eve, we're going to work this out.
Yeah,
It's very
that's
weird.
what happened. That's what I was telling you. I don't really have a lot of use for Adam, and Adam doesn't even by instinct connect things to God. So when Eve gets pregnant with Cain in Genesis 4, she says, "I've gotten a man by the help of Yahweh."
Yep.
So she connects Yahweh to Adam. Says nothing. He says nothing.
Yeah.
Like yeah. So God's just like, yeah, man. Let's just go. Within this mind, I find my ward, bearer of the sword. Does he mean a weapon or a champion? I think he's setting up his. I think this is an anti-Eve type of thing, and that she herself is the weapon. Especially when you think about. There's been a lot of ways in which women have been weaponized against men in history, to say it that way, right? So, yeah, man, I really, 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 really like this song.
Yeah. What are you going to give it?
Here's CJ. CJ Trenton says, "What a couple. You can chat for months on any topic. I dream of a couple like this."
Yeah, it's very true. Especially when we start, we watch all these different things and then it gives us more stuff to talk about. And the other night, that was so cool. We just talked and talked and talked. It is really fun.
It is fun.
Yeah.
It is fun. So yeah, I think he's setting up the woman to be the sword that actually plunges the thing right into the heart of Mordor. And I think what's fascinating is that this guy believes that he's doing something radical or inverting the Christian story, not realizing that actually no, that's God's plan. God's plan is to work with women to plunge the stake into the heart of the evil one.
Okay, what about this? So
That's why it says a sword will pierce your heart also. So I'm not going to go as far as the Catholics with the co-redemptrix stuff. All I'm saying is it's clear that in the New Testament, God and Mary, or God and the church, which is universally looked upon as feminine in the New Testament. The church is feminine in the New Testament. The church is the bride of Christ, etc., etc.
Yep.
The church is the virgin bride in Revelation.
Yep.
Humanity for the better. And again, in the book of Proverbs, what's the big primer in Proverbs is wisdom. Well, wisdom in the book of Proverbs is feminine. So,
and she's justified by her children.
Yeah. So all of these, which Jesus actually applies to himself. So he's saying that woman wisdom in Proverbs was him, and that he gives birth to children and all the rest of it. The point is, you cannot get the full and complete image of God. You cannot get the full and complete story of redemption. You cannot get salvation of the world without women at the center of the plan. You can't. I'm not saying it because it's 2021. Go read the first early church fathers. Go look at how Roman Catholics treat the Blessed Mother to this day. I mean, she's almost, even, it's so much that even the Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was confused. He thought that we put Mary in the Trinity.
Right. You're right. You did.
There's no actual Trinitarian formulation in the Quran. It's Mary, it's Allah, Jesus, and Mary. He says, Isa, did you tell the people that Allah is a third of three with you and your mother? So the only Trinitarian formulation we have in the Quran is Mary. My point is that this is not something that's new, like the role of women and women literally saving the world, like save the cheerleader, save the world. That's a real thing. Like that's the Bible. But what happened is we have to acknowledge that a lot of insecure men and a lot of weak dudes, they don't want to teach it that way. Mm-hmm. I remember one time, we were at a Bible study one time, all I did was point out that wisdom is a lady in Proverbs. And the guy got so angry. He got so upset. You remember that? I had to talk to that guy. I had to talk to that boy for like 3 hours after that and all the rest. They got so angry. So it's the same thing with the first feminists. The first feminists were saying, let us vote because we go to church. The boys don't go to church.
Yep.
And it was the men who said, stop it, all that shit. And it was the men who created this whole barefoot and pregnant nonsense and all the rest. So that's not the Bible. That's what these guys were doing. So anyway, like I said,
okay,
I don't want to have like a 19
so you have
conversation.
You have the demons
where
we already said that, they procreated with the women, they created their own children, and then he said, now you're going to watch them die like men.
Yeah.
They're children.
Yep.
And then God the Father impregnates Mary, the virgin birth, and here comes Jesus. Yeah. And then Satan, it says that they incited the crowd to crucify Jesus.
Yes.
So I wonder if there must have been some version of that as well. Like, you did that to our children, now look what I'm going to try to do to your kid. Not knowing that was obviously going to accomplish.
100%. 100%. Because Jesus is called Son of God.
Yeah.
And they were originally called the sons of God. And then they had sons. Yeah, absolutely. It was definitely a vengeance thing.
Unbelievable.
Which explains, 1 Peter and all the rest of it.
Okay, so what do you give this?
I'm going to give this song... this song is a 10 for me again. It started at the Radiohead thing. Somebody said they sound like Radiohead or whatever. Then it went all over the place. Lyrically, it was crazy. It was just really epic. I mean, there's not really much I can do here with this band.
I know. I mean, what do you want us to do, guys? You want us to...
What do you want me to do?
Give them a 3 just to make you guys feel better? We can't do that. It's a 10. It's a 10 all around. 10, 10, 10.
And no, I do not think, Fred, that God would have created Eve anyways without Adam being lonely. Because men need to know what it's like to not have their women. So when they have their woman, they don't take her for granted. And so that's why God made Adam feel that pain. So that's what I think. Plus, he knew that Adam was soft. He was soft. All right, guys. We are on the way. We got another song coming up for you. There you are, dear listener. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.